Hello again. Looking forward to another good stream tonight. Have a couple things that we're going to be talking about. We're entering a new period of time right now, so I thought that that'd be a good topic tonight with respect to all of us are moving into this new energy and how we're going to navigate that and how best we can maybe look forward to what to expect. Will sort of depend upon our individual circumstances, energetically, karmically, so on. And so we'll look at that individually by looking at everybody's birth card applied with that. Okay, and so the period of time that we're in right now is the Eight of Pentacles, which is ruled by the Hermit, right? And we've moved into this period of time from Leo, the last period being the Seven of Wands, ruled in Mars, and we've moved into the Eight of Pentacles ruled by the Sun in Virgo, right? But now, in the next day or so, we're going to be shifting that energy out of the Sun and into Venus, okay, which changes everything, right? And at the same time, we're moving from the Eight of Pentacles into the Nine of Pentacles energy, and so we'll be discussing kind of what that means and how that applies to your individual circumstance as the stream progresses. So that's going to be an interesting series of topics. How to read specific dates. This is one of those things that I get asked more than anything, other than the typical tarot questions, right? About love, money, finance, job, so on, family. This is, people who are interested in using the tarot themselves inevitably get the question of when something will happen or something related to time, and it's very difficult maybe for a newcomer to understand how to read time and the different ways that you can do that, and there's some very powerful ways to do that that we're going to talk about. The daily message, the pet message, the birthdays, and the mind, body, soul reading is for everyone, and we'll go through those as the stream builds up as well. And there's some good information in there about some specific circumstances that I think are going to maybe resonate with the right people tonight. So we'll see how that progresses as the night moves on. And then the spotlight deck. This is something that I've had for quite a while now, and I've used it really more from an aesthetic perspective. I didn't really consider it to be a divinatory tool. It's a deck that was designed by a very talented individual that essentially focuses on the surrealist movement as a visual medium and attempts to sort of mash up and pick and choose different surrealist paintings and artists to create these cards that are they're hard to describe. You'll see them as we go through them in the spotlight section. It is really something. I'll just say that. These are the card backs, by the way, which are very, very interesting. I can stare at that for a while. I have. But that said, though, wait till you see the other side of this deck. Just gorgeous. And the color, really, it's going to be something special. And so that said, looking at the period of time that we're in right now, let's see, what's a good deck to grab for this particular circumstance? Let's use maybe the Lon Milo Duquette's isn't a bad one. Let's do that. Yeah, this particular subject, this happens to be a very good deck for that. The Lon Milo Duquette's Tarot of Ceremonial Magic is an excellent tool for when you are exploring tarot and astrology and how those two things kind of come together. They are, in fact, two sides of the same coin. They're different representations of the similar body of knowledge, which you may or may not be familiar with as the Kabbalistic tree of life. And the according to many, most popularly, or from a mainstream perspective, I suppose would be Crowley, that the tarot is the pictorial representation of the Kabbalistic tree of life. And what the tree is a pictorial representation of, or a holographic representation of the universe, right? And that includes the planets, the signs, the elements, and various other knowledge systems sort of overlaid on this pattern that show the connections, and it's a very effective tool for sort of drawing the connections between astrology and tarot as a sort of quick, down and dirty reading tool for getting like a quick horoscope or a quick kind of karmic snapshot of a circumstance that is related to time. And so let's discuss how we do that. There's a couple of different ways that we read about time in the tarot. There's 78 cards in this deck. And there's two major types of card. There's the major arcana and the minor arcana. These are the two big groups of cards. Now, what does that mean? Well, we have the numbered cards, like we're familiar with. And you'll see on the screen here, I have the Rider-Waite system up. First with strength. And then we have the ace, the knight, and this seven of wand here. What we have here is the four types of cards. So the first one would be the major arcana. And there's 22 of these. These represent the planets, the elements, and the signs. The 12 signs, the 7 planets, and the 3 elements, right? And they also represent the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Now, what we also have is the aces. There's 4 for each element, or each suit. In this case, the wand, cup, the pentacle, and sword. And they represent the elements themselves, and from respective time, they represent the seasons, right? And so that's a different period of time, a broader period, a bigger period. Then we get into the court cards, which represent a larger chunk. You see, the ancients had this interesting compulsion. They would separate things into groups as a very effective means of predicting and navigating. So one of the different sections that they cut up was the sky, and they would cut it up into 10-degree sections. They cut it up into 30-degree sections. They cut it up into all these different sections. So one of the more common is what we call the decans or the decannate, which are the 10-degree sections. And if you take a circle and you cut that circle into 360 degrees, each 1-degree section, right? And now you overlay on top of that 10-degree sections, there's going to be 36 of these. And those 36 are these 36, quote, decans. And what the decans are individual entities, manifestations of periods of time that are represented by tarot cards. They're also represented, and this is where the power comes in with this technique. They also represent planet and sign combinations. And so if you have a familiarity with the vocabulary of astrology, then you'll find this to be a very effective system for being able to do a quick reading without having to draw a chart, have an ephemeris, or access to data. You would be able to use a device like the tarot in order to produce the same result, at least on a smaller scale. For larger, more complex astrological readings, I would recommend you doing it the proper way, of course. What this is more of a quick answer to a certain circumstance that is related temporally. Like, so it's whether it's an event taking place in the future or related to two people and you want to look at their birth dates, this would be the technique to do that. So what we do, and there are many different charts, graphs, sources for this information. Crowley 777, Lon Malo Duquette has 15 books related to it. He has one about understanding the Thoth Tarot, as well as a couple of others. But there's various different sources for this information that go way back, even in some cases hundreds of years. And this is just a very elegant, concise version of this knowledge in wheel form. So this is handy because it's in a round wheel, and we can very easily pick out some information. For instance, each 3 sections that are composed of one color, so like the light blue, the green, the yellow, the red, each one of those is a month. So very quickly we can glance at this and see that there are 3 cards per month. Or another way of saying that is there's 3 cards per sign. So one example would be like if we look at the far left here, Aries, which is traditionally where a lot of people begin the chart. Others on Taurus. Then there's various reasons everyone's corrected. There's no quote right way to do that. Depending upon the work that you're doing, that could be very specific. But for our case, Aries is to the east, and that would be the left. And so we're looking at that, and there's 3 cards in there. You have the 2, 3, and 4 of wand. Those are the 3 deacons that rule that period of time. All right. Starting with the 2 into the 3 and then into the 4. Right. So we're going counterclockwise around this wheel as far as time is concerned. So what essentially we can do is for instance, if you were born on March 27th, as an example, your birth card would be the 2 of wand. And the ruling planet of that period of time, now obviously Aries is known for having a particular ruling planet, and that's a different conversation. This is for the particular deacon, is Mars. Right? So having the knowledge that your birth card, it would be the 2 of wand, would give you the ability to apply that to the card of the day and the ruling period right now. So we would go to this wheel, and rather than look up your birthday, we would look up the date, which in this case is September 1st, at least where I am right now in the eastern United States. It's going to be September 1st in about 45 minutes. Right? And so that would put us at the 8 of Pentacle. We're still in the period of the Sun in Virgo. But now we're going to be moving into, in just a couple of days, this September 2nd. So basically in 24 hours and 45 minutes, we'll be moving into Venus in Virgo. Venus in Virgo is a very different energy, of course, than the Sun in Virgo. You know, one is its purest state, its brightest state, its most perfected, and the other is the more emotional state that leans toward the nurturing side, the feminine energy, the receptive energy, and how it manifests itself, as opposed to the Sun version. And so you can see how we can use this wheel to identify what cards are associated with what specific dates, and the reverse is true also. So we can look at a card and use that wheel to get a date. And so if you've asked the question of, for instance, when will XYZ event take place, well, one of the ways that you're able to go about doing that is to either separate the cards, because consider that the major, as an example, will give you the answer with respect to the month. These majors are related to the signs, and so if you look at the center of this wheel here, for instance, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and so forth, or in the circumstance we're in right now in Virgo, we're looking at the idea of Pardon me for a moment. I'm sorry.